For 10 long years, he sat in the same spot, waiting. Through the storms, through the burning heat, through the freezing snow, he never left. Because in his little heart, he knew his human was coming back. Most people think cats don't care, that they're selfish and dependent, only in it for the food. But what if I told you that wasn't true? What if I told you about a cat who loved so much he waited an entire decade for someone who never came home? This is not just a sad story. It's a story about loyalty, about heartbreak. Whiskers was a tiny, scrappy kitten when he first met Ethan. Ethan was only 8 years old, and from the moment he picked up that little ball of fluff, they were inseparable. They did everything together. Movie nights, late-night snacks, even bedtime. Whiskers would curl up right beside Ethan every night, purring softly. He wasn't just a pet, he was family. But then, everything changed. Ethan grew up, and when he turned 18, he got a letter that said he was leaving for the military the day Ethan left. Whiskers chased after the car. He ran as fast as his little paws could carry him, but the car just kept going until it was gone. He waited outside for hours, then days, then weeks. Because in Whiskers' heart, his boy was coming home. But Ethan never did. Years passed. Ethan's parents still lived in the house, but Whiskers wasn't the same. He stopped playing, stopped eating much. Every single day at the exact same time, he would walk to the edge of the driveway, sit down, and stare at the road, waiting. Seasons changed, snow piled up. Summers scorched the pavement, but he never moved. Neighbors started noticing. They'd see the little cat sitting there, rain or shine, and they knew. They tried to bring him inside, gave him treats, soft blankets, warm places to sleep. But every single time, Whiskers would return to that exact spot, because in his tiny, hopeful heart, his human was coming back. Until one day, the unthinkable happened. Ethan's parents had finally decided to move. The house was being sold. The furniture was packed. The doors were locked. And Whiskers, he was left behind. Neighbors saw him circling the empty house, meowing, pawing at the door, confused. Where was his family? Where was his boy? He waited. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. His fur became thin. His eyes grew tired, but he refused to leave. Until he simply collapsed. A woman from down the street found him lying in the same spot, barely breathing. She scooped up his frail body, rushed him to a vet, and that's when they realized Whiskers was dying, malnourished, weak, heartbroken. They tried everything, gave him medicine, warmth, food, but he just lay there, eyes barely open, still looking toward the road, still waiting. That's when the woman had an idea. And what happened next? No one saw it coming. The woman did something crazy. She posted Whiskers' story online. She wrote, "For 10 years, this cat has been waiting for his human. We don't know if he's still out there, but if he is, he needs to know." The post blew up. Thousands of people shared it. And then, one comment changed everything. "That's my cat." It was Ethan. He had survived the war, but life had taken him far from home. He had no idea his parents had left, and he had no idea Whiskers had never stopped waiting. The moment Ethan saw that post, he dropped everything and flew back. And when he finally stepped into that vet's office, Whiskers, weak as he was, lifted his head. For the first time in years, his ears perked up, his nose twitched. And then he let out the softest, most broken meow. Ethan ran to him, picked him up. Whiskers, who had barely moved in weeks, suddenly pushed his head into Ethan's chest and started purring. For the first time in a decade, he wasn't waiting anymore. He was home. If you want more stories that will break your heart and heal it, hit that subscribe button. Because next week, I've got a story that's even crazier.